Welcome one and all to Storytime with Judah, Episode 3, Save the Children. Greetings, children. My name is Judah, and I have a story to tell you. As we continue from our last adventure, we take the path of the vowels. The next up in the line of tonal frequency will be I. So remember I before E, except after C, but A-E-I in our storytelling series. I comes from the Latin of ego. Did you know? Sigmund Freud termed the psychology of ego, but way before he was born, ego meant I. Let's talk about the ego and what it truly means. As we discuss I and I, which by Babylonian definition means ego and ego, we must know I and I is male and female though. Yes, I know, it is very confusing and we're only on page 3. Whoa! But have no fear. Do not allow the ego to get upset, for the ego is not real, as much as Freud wanted it to be. Yet, psychology has failed many people. Very much so because bad people use it to hurt good people by manipulating the so-called ego. The great I Am stated that I am that I am, yet he is not ego. So we must question the men who define words of past and revert back to the original book that we spoke about in episode 1. The ego is the opinion that someone has about themselves. It is a thought, it is a feeling, it is a half-truth. It is always in contempt. The ego cannot think, nor act, nor do anything on its own, because the ego is not part of you. For it is not I, it is metaphysically alone. But the Latin and Greek says ego is I. What about before their time? What about the African tribes? If the ego believes that it is something that it is not, then the ego is not I, but rather a manifestation of a lie. There is no hieroglyphic for ego, nor is there any word prior to Latin. The ego has no real physical space in our brains, though recently scientists have stated they just discovered where the ego lay wait. Yet that is a lie, because the ego in itself is the devil in disguise. We must always remember the brain named itself the brain and will believe anything you tell it to believe. Well, how can the ego agree with anything if the ego is not real, you say? The ego is born out of fear and isolation, creations of a false identity, separates us from those around us when we were a child and grows larger into adults. The birth of ego, according to Chogyam Trungpa, is the process of identifying the self in terms of opposing ourselves to others. Therefore, we now know the ego feeds off of fear and is an external manifestation of the brain. That means it is not part of the brain, but an external creation and illusion of the mind. The ego is not I, for I am I and I know I self. I also know the lies the ego tells. The energy created from thought and vibration will manifest things around us, sometimes good, sometimes demons it brings. It is hard to use the ego for good because it feeds off of fear, yet confidence can be brought in times of despair. So we must undo what we created when we felt isolated and scared. To protect ourselves, the little child inside, we create a monster so we can run behind and hide. Yet the illusion of fear and necessity of life Why would I live as the ego wants when I know I love life? The ego lies. Love tells truth. The ego is a phony. I know I am true. It mimics what it sees and it copies with no remorse. It does not seek to understand nor comprehend its own purpose. Throughout our life, it will continue to grow, and it will take what it likes from others and in turn create its own circus show. Unless you know the great I am, it would be impossible to see the ego infiltrate the promised land. So now we have a better knowing of I mean ego. Wait. No, it's all a big conspiracy. I pray your head doesn't hurt. That's okay. Iodine is good for the body. Woo-hoo. Iodine is Greek in its nature. Ion meaning violet and eides meaning like. That doesn't make sense though. Where is the I? How did ego and violet come together? This sounds like another big lie. I means to go, and ion comes from this. Ions moving toward the electrode, always on the go, in a blink. But how did to go end up becoming violet? Still, where has violet come from, if not the macro and micro bits? A deeper search and one will see that ion in Latin means action, but also the name for a deity god in Greece. They always try to cover up truth with the lies. So let's dig deeper and see what's inside. Ion was the illegitimate child of Creusa, the daughter of Eretheus and wife of Xuthus. Ion was actually one of the first Greeks who started the Ionians. Everything can be traced back to the ancient texts we always speak of. Let us discover that Ion is actually Javan, son of Japheth. Do you know who fathered he? Noah did, the one selected by Yah to build an ark that can preserve all the animals and life, so we don't end up like Mars. See how one letter can have so much history? This is why we must be very careful with the words that we speak. So many talk for the sake of talking. So many pretend to be kind when it is really their ego walking, the soul left hiding in darkness. This is why I and I must become one. For we do not come from the Ionians, nor do we come from Japheth's sons. We are the blood of Shem. Remember, our name is Judah. From our fathers Abraham to Jacob, patriarch Yehuda. A lot of confusion of what is real and what is not. This is why we must know where we are coming from, if we seek to know who has our back. Javan, who is Ion, separate to Dorian, Aeolian and Achaean. The Ionians are renowned for their love of philosophy, art, democracy, and pleasure. Stay tuned. The Athenians must also have the answer. Who loves politics these days and loves to be in control? Who perversifies the art world and brings philosophical turmoil? Is democracy fair to those who are chosen to be ruled? The law was stated that the scepter shall not depart. Yet here we have blasphemous liars telling us democracy is not a farce. Demos, kratos equals common people ruling with power. But if common people could rule, then why did Jah send us a savior? If the answer isn't showing you the truth, then maybe it is time you take a look to the root. A commoner cannot rule over a king. That truth is a keeper, a wonderful thing. A common mind cannot teach royalty to a queen. So we see a corruption from way back then and in between. Businessmen made rulers by the votes and illusions, egos of men. Man who does not know himself cannot rule over others very well. Men who do not know I cannot tell I what to do. For I am the lion, and Jah has made me to rule. The Ionians are one of 4 Greek tribes. I am Judah, and that I own must pay the ultimate price for their lies. Nineveh has fallen and asks rhetorically, who will mourn for her? The curse of slavery is over, and Pisces is done. The water bearer now bears unto all knowledge and love. For those who accept it will move swiftly into truth, and those who deny it will get nowhere anytime soon. Not everything is good because it can be done. Not everything bad because it can be wrong. Make sure you know the I, which is you, when you think of yourself. Be selfless and balanced rather than selfish and thinking me, I. Do your best to acquire good knowledge, for Jah has given us intelligence. There is no rush, but there is a time limit, so be steady on your journey. Know that with faith, you will persevere through all trials. Until next time, I will leave you with this. Whenever you need help in finding peace again, try make the sound Aum. And like we showed you before, remember to breathe. Most of all, don't forget to pray and remember to be grateful for everything you have in your life. See you soon on Storytime with Judah. Until that time, let us find peace and joy in our everyday lives. See you soon. I love you all. Bye-bye. The end. If you enjoyed this mini-series, please like, subscribe, share, and follow any of these social media accounts. Let us remember that the children are the future, for as we grow into the elders, it is them who will become the leaders. But as of now, let us protect and save the children. See you next time on Storytime with Judah. Jah bless. Oh yes.